Well, a very good afternoon to you. A very happy Wednesday. It's lovely to see you. Um, Little weather update here. It's raining. It hasn't, I know it rains, supposed to rain all the time in the UK, but we haven't seen rain for coming up to months now, I think. So it's all been a bit of a shock to the system, but it means I don't have to water the garden this evening. So that's something. Anyway, apologies for the slight change of plan, but our partner in crime, who was going to join us to talk about the beautiful Scottish castles and so on, sends her apologies, but she's going to join us at a later date. So we're still going to do it. So we decided just to cross the water a little bit and go across to the Emerald Isle because, and I'm sure it's happening for you, that when we have requests for wonderful tours of England and Scotland and Wales, increasingly our clients are asking about trips to Ireland. Sometimes these are just a day or two. Sometimes it's a bit longer. So we are just sharing a little bit of an overview for the purposes of this, but we will come back later at a later date and talk in more detail about some of the fabulous places that you can stay in Ireland. And I'm really pleased that Ginger is here today as well, because she is an absolute. Could you you're muted, Ginger, I think. I'm not sure Lisa can do that.
I got
Ginger,
it. There we
oh,
go.
fabulous. Well, it's lovely to see you. And
You too.
Ginger is a real Irish expert, because much as I may have visited and been to all these lovely places, Ginger spends part of her life living over in Ireland. So we've got a real inside track, which is just wonderful. So
Yes.
thanks, Ginger. Um, so let's start exploring. Start exploring the wonders of Ireland. And we do have some really special partners, including Ginger, in Ireland, who will give us wonderful access to some of the beautiful castles. And I don't think you can go to Ireland and not go to a castle, can you? Um, so we can certainly create as good an itinerary over there as we do on the mainland over here. So it's really very special. And I think this wonderful quote from Yeats is particularly poignant at the moment, isn't it? A lot of people are talking about our senses sharpening a little bit as the pace of life has slowed down, and we've been going through this extraordinary experience. So rather timely, I think. Now, as you know probably by now, I rather love my history, and golly, there isn't a place with much more history than Ireland. It's quite extraordinary. I think the Celts arrived back in about 500 BC, and there were sort of rival tribes that controlled the different areas, elements of Ireland. And it's had a troubled old past, has this beautiful, it's hard to believe somewhere so beautiful can have had so many difficulties, really. But they've constantly been battling against the rule from London, and various attempts at independence have happened across the years. The rule from London hasn't helped itself too much. The likes of Henry II, who was actually granted kingship by the Pope back in the 13th century. So that's sort of probably where it all started from, and there have been various uprisings, and sadly, lots of people have been killed through the years over all of this. But Henry VIII didn't really help himself by declaring that obviously Ireland was included in the Act of Supremacy in 1536. and there were various uprisings crushed through all of that. The Reformation was a tough time for Ireland, as Protestantism was spreading across mainland Europe and obviously in the UK, but Ireland really held on to its Catholic heritage, and that caused all sorts of problems. The Spaniards even came over in the 17th century and supported an independence uprising, but that was crushed as well. So it's been really tough. And then in the 19th century, in the 1840s, there was the horrendous potato famine, and a huge percentage of Ireland's population absolutely relied on the potato crops every year. And the laws of the time gave all of the control to the landlords, of course, many of whom were absentee Englishmen, and it was a really awful time. But it then took, but actually, remarkably, Queen Victoria got involved in the potato famine. She heard just how bad it was, and really brought some very positive influence to bear on the basis that she didn't like to see anybody in her kingdom suffering. So that was a good move by old Queen Victoria. And then amazingly, they tried to pass the Home Rule Bill from the late 1880s. And it went back and forth during, it was Gladstone who was really pushing it through in the UK. And then it was finally passed, ironically, in 1914, and then promptly suspended because obviously the First World War had broken out. And they then went through a good 20 or 30 years of huge uh, um, unrest, I guess is probably the right word. And I remember growing up and listening to the troubles and everything that was happening over there, and all of the bombings and so on in London. So when the Good Friday Agreement was signed in, I think it was 1998, I think it was, it really has brought to an end finally all of the wars and so on that took place. And it may have been a local civil war, but my golly, it ran deep, and so many people were killed across the years, which is tragic. And there's still a little bit of unrest, but it's long behind us now, which is just wonderful. And what was great was, I remember growing up, and Belfast, the capital of Northern Ireland, certainly was not somewhere that you would really choose to go unless you lived there or you had family there and so on. And now it is so high on the list of places to go. We spoke to some Australians who are planning a trip a little while ago, and Belfast came above Paris and Madrid. So I think that's a pretty good indication of just what a fabulous place it is now. And obviously, it's got the Titanic and all of that glorious history. So a slightly troubled history, but a beautiful land nevertheless. And probably most famous, and not in this order necessarily, for literature, golf, and whiskey. If you're a golfer, you certainly can't go to Ireland without playing at least one round. Um, and if you're like my father, then you would probably just go and play golf and travel from one golf course to another, admiring the views as you go. And the Scots would say that the Irish don't really produce whiskey, but the Irish would certainly say they produce a jolly good whiskey. So you can go along and taste it and see what you think when you get there. Now, St. Patrick's Day on March the 17th is celebrated around the world. I mean, it's quite incredible because it's Ireland's patron saint, but the Irish across the world make sure that everyone celebrates, but nowhere celebrates St. Patrick's Day quite like Ireland. It is quite extraordinary what goes on in the towns and cities across the country. So if you have a client who's really keen on the real Irish experience, then I'd certainly suggest going over during March time. But they do have to book up early because it is incredibly popular. No great surprise. So a little bit of the history in terms of times of year. The summer months are fabulous because Ireland, even more than England, is probably known for its rain. The downside, obviously, of the summer is it's very busy because it's so very popular. So springtime is a lovely time to visit. Ginger, would you agree with that? What's your favourite time?
Yes, I'd say between April, even the end of March, all the way through. I always say the 15th of June, and then the 15th of June, it rains forever.
Oh, does it?
So, but we had a lovely summer about 2 weeks ago, and now we're back to the rain as you are as well. But but I would say that, and then back again, probably by the end of August, all the way through the end of October is nice as well, and kind of miss that. If you can afford to do it, miss all the tourists in the summer, and and take the nice bits. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that. And here is just a little bit of rather stunning video footage that we've honestly we've borrowed it because we wanted to show you the very best, but some fabulous shots of Dublin and the surrounding areas. It's quite magnificent. And you do see quite a lot of roaring fires, don't you, Ginger, while you're over there? Because winter is a lovely time.
Always. Even in the spring, if you're even in a pub, you'd find a fire.
Yeah. So shopping, spas, and all sorts, which is just lovely. Yes, Dublin's quite dangerous from a shopping perspective, isn't it? It's far too easy to spend a lot of money, and the nightlife is just glorious. And we'll come on and talk about the horse racing in a bit. Actually, I should have included that, shouldn't I? Really, as
the Galway races, yeah.
One of their passions, yeah.
Yeah.
So. We wanted to share this with you. Oh, whoops, sorry. As an example of an itinerary that we created for some clients. As you can see, they had 7 days. They really wanted to experience all of the highlights. So as you can see, there's a combination of castles, of boat cruises. They were doing the flight around the Cliffs of Moher, which is, I mean, it gets so busy. It's a wonderful way of seeing it, and staying in some of our favorite hotels. So it's that's just to give you an overview of the volume of things that you can include in a trip, and this is sort of roughly how it looks from on the map. Now, sometimes we would obviously include Northern Ireland as well. It depends on as the same in England, depending on how much travel time that they are happy to do, and just how much they want to see. But it's perfectly doable. Would you agree with that, Ginger?
Yeah, and just looking at the itinerary, just in case I don't know where everyone is, but Dublin to Galway is now not even 3 hours with the motorway. So it's an easy, even with the train, it's about 3.5 hours if you wanted to take the train. And then from top to bottom, so from Belfast down is really only about 4.5, 5 hours now.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth, even if you're going from Galway to Belfast, you would go from Galway to Dublin to Belfast, because it's just, unless you want to take the scenic route, then there's always that. And then just kind of going back over, can I talk about your hotels that you have on
Oh,
there?
yeah, we are coming
Or
on
you
to
got,
talk in more detail about the
yeah,
hotels.
okay, good, yeah.
Yeah, that would be that would be great. Yes, I should have shared the scale of that. Thank you, because obviously we live in this tiny little country over here compared with
Oh, I
you.
don't know about that.
So, just some of the experiences. I mean, Blarney Castle must be probably one of the most famous. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. Everybody climbs those steps to kiss the Blarney Stone and achieve the skill of eloquence, I should say,
Mm,
otherwise known as the gift of the gab, I think.
yeah.
Which is it's an absolutely stunning castle and well worth
And
well worth.
and the gardens are very well worth visiting as well at Blarney. The gardens are worth going around as well and taking time to do that. And they
Absolutely.
have a poison garden as well.
Ah, they do, yes. Second
Yeah.
only, I think, to the one up at Alnwick Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Mhm.
Have you been recently to the Poison Garden?
Last year. I haven't been this year, of course, but yeah, last year, and it's great. It takes a oh, if you want, you would spend at least if you go and kiss the Blarney Stone, which is 300 feet in the air. Um, you would need at least probably 4 hours to do the stone and to go around the gardens and to get your shopping. So, and it's a great place to get your souvenirs as well. So it's great for souvenir shopping. It's one of my favorite places to go for souvenirs.
And you always have to have
For all those people that you have to buy for that are watching your dogs or your, you know, whatever it is that they're doing for you while you're away. So
yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, it's always worth knowing. Actually, Lisa, we've been a bit remiss. We haven't put in enough about shopping opportunities, have we? I think we need to address that with our future ones, because it is important, isn't it? You've got to take the presents back. Um, and Killarney is the oldest national park in Ireland and is absolutely stunning. And again, the house and gardens, a very different style to Blarney, and absolutely stunning. Um, the Ring of Birra is just it's about 92 miles, I think.
I think so.
Sorry.
I think so. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
agreeing. Sorry.
And it's a little bit quieter. It's not the most obvious place necessarily. It's slightly more off the beaten track. So your clients certainly can enjoy a little bit more peace and quiet. I mean, there are probably sort of 6 or 7 of the key areas within the ring, and that's named actually after a Spanish princess, which it was all part of their support for one of the uprisings back in the 17th century. So that's where. Sorry.
I didn't know that.
my history. And Skellig has really got to be seen by boat, hasn't it? I mean,
That's the only way to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, and was used for, I think I'm right in saying this, was used for some of the shots in 2 of the Star Wars movies.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
It is a protected site. So booking on that one is essential, like
yeah,
months in advance. So
yeah,
that's
particularly,
something to be really aware of. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
certainly worth including, though, isn't
Definitely
it?
worth including. Yeah.
It's quite spectacular. It's once seen, never forgotten. So that's all in within that area. And in terms of places to stay, are there any that you'd like to comment on, Ginger, here specifically?
For KERRY, well, you have pictures of it, but you don't have it listed, I don't think. The Europe Hotel in Killarney, the floor to ceiling windows that you had, I don't know where it was. I know that's the hotel, but the park is great, and Ahado is great with their spa and everything. And
Yes.
yeah. And the Colony Park, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the park is certainly seems to be the favorite amongst our clients so far.
Yes,
So
yes. Yeah.
it's, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the Europe is a bit further out, but it is a 5-star now. I think it
oh,
always
is
has
it?
been. Yeah.
Okay. Right. We'll do some investigating.
It's
Thank you for
beautiful. It's a beautiful property. And it
that.
sits right on the lake. So where Ahado sits above the lake, it sits right on the lake.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really quite dramatic.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the thing about Ireland. You've got to be close to water, haven't you? Because
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely worth it. Yeah.
it's fabulous. And so moving down the I mean, I think the Cliffs of Moher are probably on absolutely everybody's list of things to do, which is why we do always recommend doing the aerial tour, because it's so amazing, and we don't want you to miss it. But it's easy to miss the beauty of it when you're surrounded by so many people potentially. So we certainly do recommend it. And I know, I mean, a question we've been asked a few times actually by American visitors is about the safety record of the helicopters and so on that are used. Um, we certainly have never heard of an
I haven't.
accident, and the safety record is well, as far as we know, we have obviously looked into it, is superb. So please do allay any fears that your clients might have about that. It's a very safe and fabulous way of doing it.
There is a boat tour as well to view
Yeah,
them from the water. It's, not like a helicopter, but, but if you have people that are afraid of flying, then, or afraid of being in a helicopter, and with Americans, I would say that, I mean, I don't know who else is, I guess I don't know where everybody is, but like Hawaii is, you definitely want to watch your helicopters in Hawaii. So I think we have a lot of issues there, but if they wanted the boat that comes out either from DUBLIN, or I think there's one from Galway and DUBLIN that come out, and they won't go if it's not safe.
no,
Basically.
absolutely. I do think we are very, very strict in our aviation controls in Europe. So so yeah, it's that's what we would recommend. And obviously, sadly, along with so many other fabulous events, the week of Mad Racing has been cancelled this year. It's always the first Monday of August, isn't that right? End of July.
Yes.
And is the most extraordinary experience. Like the Irish do racing like no one else does racing, and anybody who lives in Cheltenham will tell you that when they converge on Cheltenham in March every year. They love their racing. So if you want to get caught up in all of that, or encourage your clients to get caught up in it, then end of July, early August is the time to go. Again, book it up. We need to sort of get that booked quite early, because it's hugely popular. And then they could go for something a little more sedate and meet the nuns of Carmore Abbey. It's a fairly recent monastery. It was established in about 1920. And the gardens are absolutely wonderful. And it's quite fascinating listening to...
Actually, the largest walled garden in Ireland.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
About 3 acres, 3 or 4 acres, I think.
And it's the history and everything of it is beautiful, isn't it? I think it's talk about yes, from the noise of the race festival to the peace and quiet of a monastery is one extreme to the other, but well worth doing both. They are they're glorious. Okay, stop working. There we go. And here they are, the cliffs. It's just the most extraordinary coastline.
I've actually walked all of that.
Have you? How long did it take?
About 3 hours, and I had no business being up there. None.
Fantastic.
The wind comes up, so if it's a windy day, don't even bother.
No, that would be a bit.
It's quite, yeah.
Yeah, just wonderful. Now, Ashford Castle. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave this one to you, Ginger, because I know you spent a lot of time
I was just there yesterday. So,
who were you?
so the grounds are looking lovely, and the golf courses needed a bit of attention, but they're scheduled to open on the 3rd of July. And
Oh,
so,
fabulous.
yeah. So and then my little church is on the grounds there, so that's where I go to church. And so we were over doing some work, but there are people modeling around, and the locals are back, walking the forest and everything. So but it's they're just ready to be open.
Yeah, yeah. Feels yes, a sort of slow return to.
Yeah, but you have clay pigeon shooting, you have horseback riding, you've got birds of prey, and then you have the town of Kong, which is surrounds the castle, just at the entrance of the castle. So it's easy walking, and a lot of things to do.
Yeah, it's a great place. We always recommend it to clients as a great place to base themselves if they just want a couple of days of not moving around, or a day or so of not moving around, because there is
Or
so
Ballinahenge on the
to
other
do.
end. Yeah,
Yeah, there's so much to do on the estate that you actually don't want to just turn up and spend the night and go
No,
again.
no.
There's too much to see. So yeah, it's a special one. But we will be doing more about that another time. Oh, and I should have said we've got a bit of video footage for you. Good old Irish
The
wolfhounds.
dogs are there every morning at 11 for your clients.
Fabulous. It's beautiful. It really is. Just
They've
lovely.
really done a great job.
Yeah. Yes. And then obviously Dublin. We have to I have to include Dublin, and not I have to say not all of our clients want to go to Dublin. They love the idea of being out in the countryside, and they might sort of fly in and out of Dublin, but that's as close as we go. But there are some wonderful experiences. I think we had some clients who they don't drink, and they were saying, was it really worth going to? Sorry for the misspelling. Is it really worth going to the Guinness Storehouse? Well, yes, it is, because it's far more about the history of Guinness and the family and so on. And yes, obviously you can have a pint or a half of Guinness at the end of your tour, but it's certainly not compulsory. Any more than drinking Jameson's at Jameson is compulsory. But there both brands are a huge part of Irish heritage, so that's why we always recommend them. The colleges, I mean, Trinity is just absolutely stunning. It's again a bit like we've said with Bath and a couple of the other places. Just having a walking tour through the really beautiful streets of Dublin is a fabulous way of seeing it. It's not a huge city, so it's perfectly doable, and is a lovely way of really sort of soaking up the atmosphere and just some of the history and so on.
Then something else that I've started doing at Trinity is I've started using the college students for the tours.
Oh, have you? Fabulous.
They have a great perspective, and they're excited, and so it's really touching and very informative for everyone, really.
That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. The real sort of inside track, which
Yes.
is and Windmill is where U2 recorded most of their, if not all of their music, I think, my understanding. So anyway, if you've got music fans, then it's the place to go, because obviously Ireland is the other thing that it's famous for. Golly, the list is getting longer. is its absolute love of music, and going into the traditional pubs, whether you're in Dublin or out in the country in somewhere or other. The atmosphere in the Irish pubs is just wonderful, and once they start getting the musical instruments out and singing and so on, it's truly memorable. It really is very, very special. And here is a little bit of footage of the beautiful city. Oh, it's just lovely. Now, Ballyfin is one of our favourites. Again, if clients want somewhere really just to sort of everything, almost life stops when you get to Ballyfin. I think it's so stunning. It only opened in 2011, having gone through the most incredible refurbishment, and it really is just utter luxury. Mind you, the Marker Hotel now on the Docklands is pretty spectacular. I have to be honest, I haven't been there personally. Have you, Ginger?
No, I haven't either. No.
It's certainly, we've heard very good things about it, so I think a visit is called for to go and try it out. Definitely, any excuse. So we've done a brief tour of the beautiful country, and it won't be the last time that we talk about Ireland. But please do ask any questions if there is anything that we haven't covered. No, I think everyone is happy, which is great news. Ginger, a huge thank you for that. It was really, really great, because there's nothing like living somewhere to really have the inside track. So I'm really grateful. Thank you. It was wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been lovely to see you. We'll be sending out an email tomorrow about our upcoming plans for the tea and training events, because obviously the situation is changing gradually for all of us. So we're trying to respond to that. So watch out for an email coming out tomorrow. And then on Friday, we have a real treat, actually. We are going to do a little exploration of the Wormsley estate. It's about an hour and 15 minutes or so from London, out in the heart of the Oxfordshire countryside. But there's an Anglo-American feel to Wormsley, because it's owned by the Getty family. And what the Getty family have done, and it's now Mark who owns and runs it, they've created a piece of magical England in the heart of England. It wasn't in a great state when they took it over. It's now got its own cricket pitch, and there are truffles that you could go foraging for. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more than that, but there is a huge amount to share, and the most extraordinary, ultimate experience that I can't wait to tell you about. But you're going to have to wait till Friday to hear about this. But your clients will be utterly blown away if they're into that sort of thing. So I hope you can join us on Friday. Thanks so much for today. Thanks again, Ginger, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.